What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel.
What did you want for dinner?
Babe, can you stop? I'm recording.
What is up, Flick fans? It's me again. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking the brand new Blumhouse film that comes to theaters this Friday. This is Freaky. I need you in the comments down below. Are you excited for this film? Are you excited to see Vince Vaughn? Because he's really good. Let's talk about it. So after swapping bodies with a deranged serial killer, a young girl in high school discovers she has less than 24 hours before the change becomes permanent. So first off, we have Blumhouse, a studio that has given us some really great movies, some fantastic low-budget standout films, and then some really bad movies. Just this year alone, we've seen some movies from Blumhouse that haven't been the best, Fantasy Island, but we're talking about Freaky from the director of Happy Death Day, and Happy Death Day is a movie, and even the second one I had some fun with. I really enjoy what they do there, the satirical nature, the fact that they're kind of flipping the script and using a cool trope there. Now, applying a different trope to Freaky had me a bit worried. I saw the trailer and I laughed and I thought Vince Vaughn looked hilarious, but I thought this movie could go either too far in the fact that it's playing on these elements, but maybe it starts falling into those categories, or it could play on them in a way that makes the film entertaining. And thankfully, Freaky is a really fun, entertaining, bloody good time. And when I say bloody, I mean they go for it in every sense of the word. This is a hard R, folks. They do not hold back. Just the first scene, you see exactly what they're doing. And showcasing Vince Vaughn at that point as this killer, this slasher figure, is so cool. It's exactly what I like to see. Love seeing Vaughn back in this genre, but I really love seeing his role at the beginning. But then, of course, it's in the trailer, it's the entire point of the movie, you get the body swap, where she goes into his body, he goes into her body, and that could always kind of end up too over the top. But thankfully, we have two really good actors here. Kathryn Newton is awesome. She starts out as character who's being bullied quite a bit, and from that perspective I look at it and say, why is she being bullied? Everybody's like, oh, she's this ugly girl, and I'm like, Kathryn Newton's not ugly. Maybe you should have cast someone else if you're going for that. So that took a little bit of time for me to accept. But once you accept that, then they switch roles, and Kathryn Newton becomes a completely different character due to a change of clothes. But it's also Vaughn's character within her body. But the best part of this movie, even though Newton almost stole the entire show, is Vince Vaughn. Once they swap bodies, just over the top, in the best way possible. It's not a negative at all. He is hilarious. Just the way that he portrays this teenage girl, the method that he goes about speaking, it feels just like her character at the beginning, and he captured that essence so perfectly. And of course, you're going to run into numerous wacky and silly situations because of this. Now, there were points within the film, and not to dive too deep into the negatives just yet, but there were points when things happen with, say, Kathryn Newton's character as the killer, and I'm like, are there not cameras in this school? Like, are there not people that can step up and say, oh yeah, that's the person that did that? So in reality, she would be in big trouble, but they get away with a few things here and there, and that comes back to my point at the beginning of the review saying this movie does somewhat fall into the tropes that it sets up that it's going to clearly make fun of throughout the movie, and it makes fun of those absolutely, but there are also moments where you're like, okay, you probably shouldn't be walking into that room even though you're hearing these strange noises. And she has the best friend characters that kind of fall into specific tropes and the family members, so it is generic in that sense, but the point of the movie is to be satirical and to take what we know about horror films, use those ideas, flip them on their head, and make them thoroughly entertaining. And I think that's the entire point of this review, is to say that Freaky is fun. It's some freaky fun. So, that didn't work. But honestly, guys, and they're even using the Disney princess thing, like we have to accomplish this goal before midnight or it stays permanent, and there is one element within that they kind of set up at the beginning of the film. It's kind of obvious what's going to happen, but it's not necessarily about the destination. It's more about the journey with this film, and the journey is just a blast. Seeing Vince Vaughn's chemistry with her friends is hilarious. How they interact, kind of the mission that they're on, and then Newton kind of taking over the role of the slasher character, and that character getting back at all of these individuals at the beginning. I just really liked the way that it progressed. It was so much fun, and it captured the essence of what I really enjoyed about Happy Death Day, and that is the fresh feeling of a movie like this. It's not often that you get a horror comedy that really captures what it's going for. I think Christopher Landon, who did both Happy Death Days, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and now Freaky, he has some good films under his belt, so I can't wait to see what he does next. I would like for them to revisit the Happy Death Day universe, and even though Freaky doesn't necessarily set itself up for a sequel, there's a lot of lore here within the device that allows them to switch bodies, and something that you kind of have to buy at the beginning, but it's an easy thing to buy just because this movie sets it up so well. And there are numerous standout moments that make me sit back and say, this is one of the funnier movies of the entire year. A lot of it spawns from Vince Vaughn, who I believe is giving one of his most entertaining performances in a while. A lot of people say Vince Vaughn has disappeared over the years. I say that's just not true. Hacksaw Ridge, Brawl in Cell Block 99, Dragged Across Concrete, Fighting with My Family. He's given some of the better supporting performances that I've seen in quite a while, and yet still some people don't take him serious as an actor. Well, it's not a serious role for him in Freaky, but it's still completely and thoroughly entertaining. So I will say this is one of the better slashers that I've seen in a while. It's not often today that we get kind of this throwback feeling movie, even though, again, it's that satirical take, so it's not what we're used to seeing, but it still has all of the elements that makes for a good slasher film. So I really like the fact, and Blumhouse has done this numerous times, that they're just combining different genres, whether it's a coming-of-age story, whether it's a horror film, definitely a comedy. A lot of different elements that go into making this an overall entertaining experience, and it just kind of stands out from the crowd this year, right? We've gotten some hardcore horror films, we've gotten some horror sci-fi movies like The Invisible Man, but nothing like this. So again, with the Happy Death Day, it's doing exactly what that film did, but in a year where we're not getting near as much horror or good quality horror. My only other negative is the fact that the story does kind of end and then it goes on a bit longer and throws something else at us. So I was like, okay, well, we could have wrapped it up right there. But again, we have to tie up some of these storylines. So I wasn't too upset, and I like living in this world, so I didn't mind staying there longer. Overall, a very entertaining experience. If it's playing at a theater near you this weekend and you're willing to go out and see it, I think Freaky is definitely worth a watch. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to drop this vid a thumbs up, appreciate it big time. And as for my score, I'm going a 74%. Again, a few tropes that it could not get past, but the experience as a whole is a big recommendation from me. So thank you guys again. Stay tuned to this channel. Lots of reviews this week. Some that I think a lot of people have been looking forward to for quite some time. So appreciate it big time, and I'm going to go switch bodies with my wife again, because that was fun.